Hello and welcome to the second video on types of matter. Hey, solid, liquid, gas, we appreciate them all because they all matter. As in, they're all matter. Phases, they're all phases. Really, it should say plasma on there too because hopefully you know at this point plasma is another state of matter. There's four. Okay, moving right along. In the previous video about matter and types of matter, I described that there's sort of two levels of categories and four total, and this is a little hierarchy chart that should make it clear, and this is something you will want to have in your notebooks. You don't necessarily have to have these little drawings here, but this is important that when it comes to matter, we first say it's either a pure substance or it's a mixture. If it's a pure substance, it's either an element or a compound. If it's a mixture, it's either a homogeneous mixture or a heterogeneous mixture. Right? So four possibilities, but remember, any one substance can be, it is two things essentially, right? So copper wire, for example, that's it. Copper is just an element, which is a pure substance, right? So it's both of these things. These are not mutually exclusive. These are. Okay. Here's a couple examples, giving them a shot. So we're going to identify as we go through what are these things. Are they elements, compounds, homogeneous mixtures, or heterogeneous mixtures? First example is vinegar. This is the molecular formula of vinegar, otherwise known as acetic acid, C2H4O2. And vinegar is, as you hopefully might be able to think, it is a compound, right? A compound. So this is three different elements covalently bonded together, and everywhere in this jar of vinegar, it's all just vinegar, right? There's not different regions of it that are different things. So it's a compound, which is also a pure substance. Oh, hey, there's your answer. Next one, baking soda. Baking soda, you might find it in your fridge there to try to absorb some nasty smells. It's also used in a lot of baking, turns out. Baking soda is NaHCO3. And what do you think? Element, compound, homogeneous mixture, or heterogeneous mixture? All right, so it's a compound just like vinegar was. It's a compound, NaHCO3. One sodium atom, one hydrogen atom, one carbon atom, and three oxygen atoms covalently joined together as a compound, the same throughout. Every little piece, every little bit of baking soda in that box is going to have the same properties. How about beach sand? Here's a close-up look of beach sand. Beach sand is it's actually derived from a variety of sources depending on where you are, but usually those sources are either pounded up rocks from on land or pounded up bits of shell from the ocean. What do you think? Element, compound, homogeneous mixture, or heterogeneous mixture? Okay, and we have heterogeneous mixture, which is a type of mixture. And how do we know? Well, we can see different bits. And if we picked up individual grains of sand, they would not look the same, right? Some are essentially clear. Some are actually visible. You can tell that they're little pieces of shell. Some are black, some are brown. So they have, if nothing else, different colors when we pick them up. Next example is paint. Can of paint. Element, compound, homogeneous mixture, or heterogeneous mixture? So paint, hopefully you know that paint it's a lot of things, but it's water and pigment. So it's not just one thing, it's a mixture of things. But it's a mixture of things that looks the same. Unless you have really bad paint, it's going to be paint that is the same throughout, because that's what you want. You want all the paint in the room to look the same. So it's a homogeneous mixture of pigment and water and the other substances in paint that make it what it is. Okay, and now for another example, stainless steel. I love this one. So in this video, you're going to watch how stainless steel is made. Stainless steel is an incredibly common material. That means that you don't have to eat off of a rusty fork anymore, because before stainless steel was developed, it was all maybe iron at best, or wood, or something like that. So think about it. Is stainless steel an element, a compound, a homogeneous mixture, or a heterogeneous mixture as this video plays?
Stainless steel was invented in the early part of the 20th century, and the concept hasn't lost its luster.
Get it? Lost its luster?
Is chrome, which forms a protective oxide film on the surface. Originally, people were amazed that cutlery made from it didn't need to be polished. Called non-rusting steel, it was the talk of the dinner table. steel can be made to look shiny and new, even when they start with scrap. They recycle old stainless steel to make new, giving trashed sinks, pots, and a whole lot of other things a new lease on life.
Epic! Oh my god,
Tons of
look at that
scrap steel
thing.
into a roaring furnace, along with chrome and nickel alloys.
Look at the size of that
for
bucket!
and rust proofing.
It's huge! It's just dumping steel into this massive cauldron.
Enormous electrodes heat the mix to the melting point,
Oh my god.
and the show rivals a fireworks display.
They're like making lightning in this giant cauldron of molten metal.
After several hours, the molten mix goes into a refining furnace.
Another huge
Pipes
bucket.
blast argon gas and oxygen up through it. This converts some
Like you do.
impurities to gas and causes others to float to the surface so they can be removed.
Oh, how'd you like that job?
A
Sample
technician
time.
regularly checks the temperature and takes samples to make sure the chemistry is right.
It's just gonna drag that along the
They
floor.
add a bit of scrap that bulks up the mix as it melts. The scrap also causes a chemical reaction that helps to fuel the refiner. The bubbling steel soup now flows out of the refining furnace, and rollers guide it as it's cast into a long mold. The result is a 70-meter-long ribbon of steel.
70 meters,
Torches
that's
cut it into shorter chunks called
230
slabs.
feet or so.
The worker
Wow.
writes identification information on each one, using chalk that works on hot surfaces.
That's like fire chalk.
They hoist the slabs over to another station to await further processing. After this break in production, they reheat the slabs to soften them up for more processing. A rusty scale has accumulated on the surface of the steel. They pressure wash it away without cooling the hot metal.
This part
Now
is
the
funny.
slab shoots back and forth through a machine with rollers.
A machine that's sticking its
A
hot,
constant
fiery
spray
tongue out.
cools the rollers as they stretch the steel longer and thinner. It's now over 600 meters long,
What?
the length of a couple of city blocks. They spray water on the stretched steel to cool it a little, but not too much, because it needs to be soft and flexible enough for coiling.
Ooh, the fun stuff.
This spool coils the strip tightly like a roll of toilet tissue.
Don't wipe with this toilet tissue. That would hurt.
They then transfer the roll of steel to another station. Here the steel goes into a hot acid wash that removes scale that's built up since the last cleaning. Burners in this machine also heat the steel and then slowly cool it. This relieves stress in the metal, softening it for further processing. They now unwind the steel into a machine that rolls it thinner so that it's exactly what the customer ordered. Rolling the metal when it's cold also causes it to harden and makes the surface pores close so it shines.
Ooh, nice. Alright, so that's the basics of how stainless steel is made, which looks really awesome and makes me kind of want to go to a stainless steel plant. But the question was, is it an element, a compound, a homogeneous mixture, or a heterogeneous mixture? What do you think? Let's see. Okay, well, so here's your answer. Steel is an alloy, and an alloy is a metal combined with one or more other elements, metals or nonmetals. And alloys are homogeneous mixtures. So the steel that we heard was iron and chromium, and sometimes steel gets other metals mixed in depending on what it's used for. So for example, this is a bike frame, and it has CHRMO on it, which stands for chromium and molybdenum. Chromium and molybdenum are two metals that get mixed in with the iron to make a certain kind of stainless steel, depending on the property that they want. So that's an alloy. stainless steel is an alloy, and all alloys are homogeneous mixtures, right? There's no particular part of that piece of steel that has a different property than another piece. Okay, hope you enjoyed learning about stainless steel and figuring out what it was, and learning how we can all be alloys in the future.